Hola, friends. Welcome to the Medicine, Marriage, and Money YouTube channel, the only channel for physicians who want to achieve marital interdependence and financial freedom together. On this channel, you will learn how to show up as the best version of yourself so that you can love intentionally and build a more financially savvy relationship with your spouse. And I am your host, a physician mom, a doctor's wife, a Gottman leader, a certified life and marriage coach, Dr. Kate Mangona. Welcome. Bienvenidos. Okay, hello, sweet friends. Today one second here, let me get all my, okay, sweet friends, thank you for joining me. Today, we'll be talking about how to stop the blame and criticism cycle. We all blame our spouses. We all criticize our spouses. We all do it. It's okay. Let's admit it. We're human. We make mistakes. So how do we stop it? How do we stop the cycle? Because when we do it, admit it, it's not fun. It doesn't feel fun afterwards, right? You feel a little icky. You feel a little remorseful. Why do we blame? Why do we complain? Why do we gossip? Why do we criticize? Why do we do any of those things? Is it fun? And we all have different reasons. You kind of reach inside yourself and ask yourself, why do you do it? Why do I do it? Let me share. I sometimes blame my spouse and criticize him because I have that urge inside of me to be right. And I know not all of you have that urge. A lot of you do. And a lot of you are women physicians just like me. And we have this urge to be right. Why? Because medical school are training the medical system, the patriarchy, which runs the medical, which is dominant in the medical system, and society has taught us that we have to be right. If we're not right, patients will die. If we're not right, we won't ace the exam. If we don't ace the exam, we're not going to get into medical school or good residency or fellowship or attending or even make the salary we need to pay back our student loans. We have to be right. It's that urge. We want to be right. Be a little bit of ego too, right? Some of that's your ego playing in. And some of that, and I want you to know it's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's the society we live in. It's the system we work inside. So in order to stop the blame and the criticism cycle that we bring home with us and use in our daily lives, especially with our most intimate relationships, you have to understand where it comes from. And if you can understand that this need, this urge to be right, it's not going to kill anybody. It's not even going to harm anybody if we're wrong. We may be able to be a little bit more understanding. That's pretty deep. We can even go deeper. Maybe we had to be right because of something that happened in our childhood. Maybe our parents were absent. Maybe we were in a dysfunctional family. We had to raise our siblings. One wrong move, and that meant or signified or somehow the world fell apart. Or the life you knew as you knew it, when you were 13 years old, when you were 17 years old, even when you were 7 years old. Maybe you had too great a burden to bear at that age. And now you have to be right? You have to be at the top, because if you're not at the top, then you're at the bottom. And if you're thinking like that, we've got to check that, right? Because there's a whole lot in between the top and the bottom. It's called the gray. It's called 1 through 100, 1 through infinity. And you're not always going to be at the top. And you're almost never at the bottom. So let's find that happy place in between. Let's find this place and hold on to it, enjoy it. And it doesn't have to involve blame or criticism. So back to this cycle of blame or criticism. Maybe you need to write down or start, dear criticism, dear blame, where do you come from in my life? Where have I seen you before? When do I feel like I have to criticize my spouse? When was the last time I criticized my spouse? Oh yeah, I did it as he was walking, or she or they were walking out the door this morning. And I realized they hadn't done X, Y, or Z. And so I started blurting out, Okay, let's stop ourselves. Why? Why did we do that? Maybe you're looking for an apology. Maybe you're looking for them to forgive you or to ask for forgiveness for something they did you think was wrong, but they don't quite think is wrong yet. And so you're like, oh, let me just push them. Let me push them. I'm just going to push them until they figure out what they did was wrong or what they said was wrong. So I'm just going to keep blaming them, keep criticizing them. Let me ask you this. When you are blamed and you are criticized, is the next step then, oh, let me ask for forgiveness for that. I hear you criticizing me on how I didn't keep the house clean. It's not so organized. I didn't do the dishes. I don't do the laundry. I'm sorry. Is that what comes out of your mouth if somebody is blaming you for that? Or maybe you didn't do something quite right at work. Okay. You didn't get the report just right. Or you misread the instructions from the specialty team you had consulting on your patient. You ordered the wrong study. And somebody digs in and blames you for that and criticizes you for that. I can't believe you did that, Dr. Mangona. You messed up the whole cycle. Oh, is that what makes you want to apologize? Okay, again, no, that is not. We apologize. We most likely feel like we want to apologize when the other person is being vulnerable. When we've got all the mess on the table in front of us, theirs and ours. And we feel like we can soften up and be vulnerable too. So figure out, when is it that you blame and you criticize? And let's figure out how to reverse that. I'm going to teach you this technique. And this is negative reinforcement, which I don't often teach here, but I just came from PIMD Passive Income MD Conference 2023. I think it was my third or fourth time attending, however many. I've been there since the beginning. It's an amazing, powerful conference about physicians investing in real estate, physician entrepreneurs. If you haven't gone, consider going next year. The people who put on the conference are my friends. The people who speak at the conference are my friends. I have become friends with so many attendees I didn't even know, and I just met this weekend. So I learned this technique there from one of the speakers, Dr. Vikram Rai. He's a cardiologist turned, serial entrepreneur, has a business coaching people. He's a high performance coach, and he also does motivational speaking. So he came up with this technique. And I can't remember exactly what he called it. If he called it the rubber bracelet technique, I'm going to call it the hairband technique, just to put a spin on it, because I often have hairbands around my wrists. Every time you want to criticize, every time you want to blame, anytime you want to gossip with or complain about your spouse, to your spouse, criticize, blame, gossip, complain, take that rubber band and snap it. Snap it on your wrist. Okay. And then put it on the other side of your wrist. The goal is to go 21 days without having to snap that band, whether it's a hair tie, a rubber band, one of those big rubber bracelets that you wear. You snap it. You have to go 21 days without having to snap it, which means you haven't gossiped, you haven't complained about or to your spouse, you haven't criticized your spouse, and you haven't blamed your spouse. And then you switch it to the other side. I'm going to try this with you guys. I have never tried it. I just learned about it on Saturday. I plan to start. I just need to get I got these two bracelets. I can put them on now. These aren't exactly the right kind, but snap it and then switch it. Okay. And then every time you switch it, you have to start start it over again. 21 days. Mess up, snap it. Dr. Raya said the first time he tried it, it took him 6 months. Finally be able to go 21 days. Try it out. So back to the criticizing and the blaming cycle in your relationship. Let me give you an example of when I really held back criticizing and blaming my spouse. And some of this is also holding back criticizing and blaming myself. As you know, I talk about this concept that when we are upset at our spouse, we're often avoiding being upset at ourselves. When we criticize and we blame other people, we're often avoiding looking at ourselves, going introspectively and criticizing and blaming ourselves. So I went on this flight this weekend with my husband. We were supposed to leave at, I think our plane took off at 7:15 Friday morning. So we get up, or the day before, my husband sends me a text message. We're both at work, crazy busy for both of us Thursdays, trying to get all our work done, all my reports signed, teaching a resident, lots of things going on. I've got to go talk to patients back in the ultrasound room, or patients' moms, rather, parents, and then go do fluoros, a lot of stuff going on. So I was very thankful. My husband checked in for our flight for us. He sent me the Delta boarding passes electronically, text them to me. So I saved them on my phone. I didn't even second look at them or second check them. I just saved them on my phone. Thank you. He wrote me like 2 paragraphs worth of text. This is what time we're getting up. This is what time we're departing. We need to be in the car at this time, driving for the airport. And this is what luggage I need you to pack. And I pack for myself. He packs for himself, but he also knows the size and the weights and dimensions. And I don't keep track of that based on which airlines we fly. So he's like, use this suitcase. I was like, okay, can do that. Thank goodness I have such an organized spouse, right? He does all this stuff for me when we go traveling, because he knows that I don't prepare until the very last second. And then we get, the last boarding seats if we're on Southwest, or the last zone if we're on a different flight, where I'm all disheveled by the end of the night and like trying to figure out what to do. I may even get late to leave for the airport and late to the airport. So we're on time. We're in the car. We get to the airport. We're going through, we park in the garage. We even choose to park our car there because it's only a 1.5 day trip, 2 day trip. We park our car, we walk nonchalantly, just, very easily in through, we have clear and we have pre-check. I know I've talked about this before. Clear and pre-check work synergistically. We walk in, we're walking through security. I hold up my phone. I put my boarding pass against the little clear screen after I've scanned my eyes, and red alert goes off. Wrong airport. You're at the wrong airport. It's like, wrong airport. Yeah, we have 2 airports in Dallas. Okay. And we're at the wrong one. We're at the one 45 minutes away from our house, or 30 minutes without traffic. Not the one 10 minutes away from our house. Because typically Delta, when we're flying Delta, we fly out of the one that's further away, not the one that's right next door. Well, things have changed over the years, and now Delta flies out of both airports, not just one. It also flies out of the Southwest hub. So we have an option. We can get really freaking upset. I can start pointing fingers and I can start blaming him and criticizing him for making this mistake. Or I can go inside of myself and realize, you know what? I was part of this journey too. I was part of this process. I didn't double check which airport we were supposed to go to. I even looked at the boarding pass. I didn't even cross my mind to check the 3, the 3 letters that go with each airport. Ours said Dal. It's like so nebulous, right? It could be either Dallas airport. But I know, that goes with the airport close to our house and not the further one went, but it just didn't click. So then we go to the desk and we try and figure out if we can get on the later flight. The later flight's not going to get us there in time for my husband to go on stage and talk. So we got to figure out so it's 6:35 and our plane at the other airport leaves at 7:15. Okay. So that gave us 40 minutes. So we decided to hop in an Uber, ditch our car, abandon our car, hop in an Uber, and go down as fast as we can the highway to get to the next airport. And we know it'll take us about 22 minutes. We're like, we have 40 minutes. If we drive as fast as we can, get to that other airport, we could make it there. So we hop in the Uber. We ask our Uber driver, drive as fast as you can. And he's like, well, that traffic's getting nasty, y'all. I'm not kidding you. That's what he said. That's how he sounded. And we're like, okay, please just get us to the airport. We'll give you a nice tip. Again, no blaming, no criticizing yet. I'm not even wearing the rubber band yet. We're in the car, and I had pulled up the Uber on my phone. So my husband was trying to figure out if we could go on other flights at the airport we were in. Didn't work out. So we're there. We get to the airport. I take my shoes off because I cannot run in my shoes. And as soon as my feet hit the ground out of that Uber, I am bolting for our gate. Through security, lickety split, right? Clear and pre-check. Get to the gate. They had just closed it because they closed the gate 10 to 15 minutes before you take off. We hadn't accounted for that time. Did I blame Victor? Did I criticize my spouse? No. Would that have been helpful? No. So we had to figure out what to do next. So they gave us the little booking code so that we could call Delta and figure out how to rebook, right? So we had to get to LA within 4 or 5 hours. We had to be there. He had to be on stage. People thought we were already there. So he gets on the phone with Delta. I get on the phone with Delta. We'll see who's going to get there first. We both go downstairs to the actual desks because they can't help us at the gate. So we can figure something out. Again, at this point, it's been an hour. We have not started to blame each other or criticize each other. So then we're in line to talk with Southwest to see if they can get us on a flight. Our friends, our neighbors with their 3 little kids just so happened to get in line behind us. And they said, well, we're going to LA and we're leaving in an hour or a little bit more because they got kids. They had to be there a little bit. We're like, what? How are you going to do that? They reminded us that they were flying to Long Beach instead of LA, which is an easy 30-minute Uber ride. Easy, as in really not much traffic. And if you've ever flown into Long Beach, it's a hell of a lot easier to fly into Long Beach than it is to LAX. So we secured the last 2 seats on that plane to go to Long Beach with our friends, our neighbors, and their 3 kids. And then we land safely and securely. I had checked the itinerary to see when Victor was speaking before we left on my app. It had said 1 p.m. So we're like, we're safe. Then when we landed, it changed to 11 a.m. And guess what? It's because the app automatically converted from central time. And I was thinking it was in Pacific time where the conference was. So we had, again, a very, very short window to get from Long Beach to the hotel where he was presenting. Did we make it? Yes. But could we have stopped for lunch along the way? Yes. Did Victor blame me for reading the time schedule wrong? No. It's just one of those things that happens when time conversions happen in electronic in our phones, and sometimes we don't realize it. We went this whole entire journey, y'all, without criticizing each other and without blaming each other. And you can do it too. Try the hairband, try the rubber band. I will tell you, if we had blamed each other and started criticizing each other, it would have made everything more messy, unpleasant, unfun. He wouldn't have been in the right state of mind or the right energy to get on that stage. I wouldn't have been in the right energy to go mingle and network and have a blast with all these entrepreneurs, real estate investors, physicians, beginners, advanced, wherever they were on their journey. It just sets you up for disaster. So figure out, hold yourself back, stop the criticism, stop the blame, and figure out what it is you need in order to get to the next step. Why are you criticizing or blaming? Did something go wrong? Well, then how can you fix it for yourself? You can't fix it because you need their input? Then go figure out how to fill your other cup without fixing that situation. Now, if this does not work for you, if you cannot stop the blame and the criticism cycle, reach out to me. I love talking about this stuff. I truly believe that these techniques, they work. However, they're blanket techniques. I don't know your situation. I believe that this can be applied to your situation, and it's on a very individualized level then, right? So talk to me about it. Tell me about it. How are you feeling inside? What's preventing you from getting there? What's preventing you from stopping the criticism and the blame? It's inside of you. The answer is inside of you. I can be your journey. I can be your guide along your journey, right? Listening to podcasts is one thing. And I'm so glad you're listening. And I'm so glad you joined me, whether it's on my Facebook group, Medicine, Marriage, and Money, my podcast, my YouTube channel, my coaching program, wherever you are. I'm so grateful. But if I can personally help you along the way as a one-on-one coach or in my group coaching program that we're 1 week into now, it's So much more better. It's personalized. But try this today. Put on the rubber band. Next time you hold back from the criticism, the blame. Next time you want to do it, ask yourself, why? Is it an urge to be right? Is it another urge? Are you looking for an apology? Are you looking to feel better? Are you wanting to feel better yourself? Is there some what is the underlying feeling? So try that again, the hairband technique. Stop the criticism, the blame, the complain cycle today. It is up to you. You have all the information you need to stop it today. So much love, my sweet friends. If you are finding the concepts I teach in these episodes useful and want more in-depth and personalized support for your relationship, consider this your invitation to join me in creating the most connected and intimate relationship with your spouse that you could dream of. Go to www.medicinemarriageandmoney.com right now and download my 18-page medical marriage survival guide and workbook at no cost to you. I also have a 6-day marriage challenge, which goes over the 6 predictors of divorce at no cost to you. These have been known to decrease fighting, rumination, and grudges between you and your loved one. If you want to take it a step farther, really enhance the joy and connection in the most intimate relationship in your life, sign up for my 8-week Making Marriage Work program today at medicinemarriageandmoney.com. Thanks for leaving us a stellar review, subscribing, and sharing with your friends on social media. You have the power to improve someone else's life and marriage simply by sharing this episode. Much love to you and your spouse. You're exactly where you need to be in this moment. Adios, my friends. The content of this episode is not intended to be a substitute for professional, medical, or financial advice. The opinions provided on this episode are those of myself or the invited guest alone. They do not represent the opinions of any particular institution. Always seek the advice of your physician or financial advisor with any questions you may have of a medical condition or financial plan. This is for your entertainment only.